All right, we're recording. We're continuing in the second of this, probably just a two-part series. You'll see how large those files get. But what we've got now is we've got general girders done. What we're doing is we're keeping with the theme of starting with an AutoCAD that we've more or less thought out. So I'm going to hit here, escape here. I'm going to go with VV at this point. And remember that our imported categories included everything, including interior joists. I'm going to point out now something about the interior joist. Instead of an element type, I'm going to go back to home and go with a truss system. But the truss system you'll see is based on whatever your current beam is for many of these things. Some of them are pre-made, but if we go back to beam here, or I'm sorry, what your current column is, if we change our element type now to, you notice here we've got different ones. We've got wide flange, so you can go ahead and load a family here. And we can load from the family. Remember, structural, we want to kind of find out some structural stuff. And of these structural, we have framing. We have all kinds of different ones, including steel. And steel, we've got all kinds of different stuff, including, I believe, some double angles. We'll see what we can do with the double angles here. We have a lot of different choices, including, you'll see, they're given with their thickness, etc., spacing, area, and so I'm just going to pick something there without even thinking too much about it at this point in time, because we just want to go ahead and get the joist done. So we want to pick that element type now. Go ahead and place something there. Now that sense I'm going to modify, go back to column here. That column we really don't want, but perhaps we needed to place it before we deleted it. So now when we go to our column types, we should have different ones, including I'll try it one more time. We're trying to load a family of structural. We're trying to do some, actually it was columns that we're doing there. Okay, that's why I grabbed it wrong. We're grabbing steel and an angle column. Just pick again one of some size there. That's going to set that angle type so that now when we go to home and we bring in a truss system, we can, element properties are there where the truss is going to have different properties including height, etc. Height, I'm going to go ahead and just make this a relatively short 4 foot, 3 foot, 2 foot, whatever the case would be based on your designs. Engineering type doesn't say. We got bearing cord. We're going to go ahead and place that at level 2. Hit OK here. Now as we go ahead, now we can select our one. And you see what it's doing is it's building the truss. And in this case, you'll see we'll end up having to probably think a little bit better about what we did, grabbing all the way through. But I'm doing this to point out that it builds these trusses from the steel of your column. There are other pre-made ones, so I'm kind of going through here, going to make all of those all the way up. The only ones that are not there, it's giving me errors because I can't see where I'm at. I've got some doubles, I guess. That's the error message it's giving me. The yellow obviously should be avoided. So it's trying to correct you to your errors here. And I don't know if I'll get the last one. Okay, so I've got a lot of double instances there, so let me kind of go around here. I'm not going to clean them up at the moment, but that sense of being able to use different views to kind of get what you want, and using this basic tool to kind of come in. So I'm going to try a couple more here. Once again, 1, 2, this one wasn't got, and this one wasn't gotten. Alright, so we have now a set of joists, once again now on level 2. We can go up to level 2 and we can start to see what we missed, what we didn't. But in this case, again, VV, we can now go to the next step, which indeed would be imported categories, the potential of a floor. Particularly if, in fact, you can actually do here, and in this level here, VV, you can tell it as well that you do not want to see the structural information. I'm not sure if that's going to do it, but gets rid of all that. Now, in fact, what you may only have, and you may not even want to see the VV, you might not even want to see the annotated grid. You would like to see the floor, however, and I don't know that we've got that floor on there. We'll see it one more time. VV, imported categories, floor. But in reality, what your last bit is now to go through and create a floor, structural floor, and hopefully that you can find some edges. Pick supports, pick walls. So your supports, your walls. In this case, you can draft a line. I don't think we found the edges that we wanted, but you really would like to have those floor lines in your AutoCAD as well. I'm going to hit and say finish floor. It's looking for some floor properties, what's going to hold it up, etc. Again, you go to the view on analytical, and hopefully now when you get into this, you can start to see more of what you wanted. So that sense here, the floor should be there, but the floor, now the element properties on the floor, you would want that to be from level. If you think about it, the level, we're probably up 3 feet because of the depth of our trusses, and you'll have to kind of play around with that. These views down here on the bottom, there's shading, there's wireframe, so now you kind of see how that kind of can come in. Of course, you can look in your elevation views, and again, remembering somehow very quickly learning how to do this. I don't know that I'll be able to do it here. Pull that out so it goes all the way around. We'll do an undo here. So very early getting kind of your extents of all this kind of laid out. Checking the time here. You're still a few minutes left, so I'm going to go back to level 1. Right, and remember that when we change things, very often we make a whole lot more sense perhaps to level 1. There's not much there. One thing we probably would like to have on is the grid, and it is. Whether we see it or not is another matter. Level 2, you start to see these things. Level 2 analytical. The labels start to come in or not depending on whether you've got annotation stuff set. VV, annotation categories, etc. Generic model tags, generic annotations. So there's a lot that you then have to set up. Now, one thing I will point out is how to make a particular view, and basically going to view, realizing that sometimes you want to make a section view. I'm just going to make a section right across here. Right, so that when you go down to section views, you have a building section view. It should show your building in section, and you would go pull it down, etc., depending as the case would be. So you want to pull that down probably all the way through your floors so you can see what's going on within your building. So that's basically how to go about building all the way up from bottom to top. The last thing, of course, would be foundation. It looks very similarly. Walls, again, try to have that line work thought out in your AutoCAD drawing. And since it is linked in, you can then add as you need to. This point, I'm going to save it. The next thing I'll do, I will do an export right now, and then that will be the third. Export it and showing you how it then comes back into AutoCAD and or SketchUp. If you use the correct exports and preserve your coordinate system.